All systems go. Check it out.
You're listening to Fight Society with Damon Martin and Jeremy Loper.
Check it out.
Fight Society podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's Jeremy Loper, Damon Martin, and there's a lot to discuss. You guys can always hit us up at Jeremy Loper, JeremyLoper, or at Damon Martin. Pretty self-explanatory on Twitter, Instagram, we're everywhere. Check us out.
Back after a week away, I was sick.
Yeah, you were sick, man. We had to take a little break.
I felt like I wanted to send like an apology note to Amanda Nunes for ever criticizing her for dropping out of a fight due to sinuses, because I had a sinus infection last week and it kicked the shit out of me. It was so bad.
What'd you do? You have to get some
I got some medicine, and it's just this weather in Ohio. I mean, I should be used to it by now, obviously, but we've had so many, like, usually when the weather changes dramatically, like, in Ohio, like, I always joke around, it's like weather by Sybil. Like, we get, one day it's 80, the next day it's 50. But really, it's not that bad, but it was that bad like a week ago. We dropped down to like 50 with rain, and then we got back up into like the 70s, and now it's in the 80s again. And my sinuses just exploded, and it was just so bad. Like, I tried to gut through, and then I eventually had to give in and go to the doctor and get some medicine. So
it's fucking hot.
Yeah, so I feel better now. But yeah, last week was miserable, man. It was so funny. We were going to record the podcast on Wednesday. Tuesday night is when it flared up, and I woke up at like 4 a.m, and I couldn't sleep. My head was just pounding. I ended up like basically laying on the couch because I was so miserable because I couldn't get to sleep. So it was a bad couple days there. So yeah, I feel I have a whole new level of sympathy for Amanda Nunes after she dropped out of that fight.
After you were like a jerk to her.
No, I wasn't necessarily a jerk to her, but everyone else, like, everyone's like, oh, come on, why are you dropping out for a sinus infection? It's not that big of a deal, dude. Man, I was feeling it last week, man. It was pretty rough. Like, I was, you just talking.
You know what you need? You need to go to a steam room. That's what you need, man. Yeah.
Steam room?
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I needed something. It was
clean you out, man.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was like anything in my ear, like talking on the phone, talking in general, like just anything was just like anything to do with like moving my head was just a bad idea. So yeah.
All right, settle down there. You're not calling into school sick, okay?
Yeah. So we're back. We're
not
back
judging
today.
you.
We're back today. We're back today. We got a good show today too. So we're going to talk to the UFC 216 headliner.
Yes.
As they announced, Kevin Lee is going to be taking on
awesome,
Tony Ferguson for the interim lightweight title. We're also going to talk to Bas Rutten, the legend. El Huapo is going to stop by and talk to us. So we got a good show today. So welcome back after a week off.
El Huapo, right?
El Huapo.
All right, just not El Chapo.
Not El Chapo, different one. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, listen. So, of course, everybody's all up in arms about this decision. I mean, we're a couple of days late on this, so I don't want to give too much time to this. But this whole Canelo Alvarez Triple G fight was amazing.
How did you score it?
I got to be honest with you, man. I was at a watch party, and I was at a strip club where we did not have sound, and there's fans and listeners all around. So I was talking to people. So for me to give to act like I'm better than Adelaide Bird, that I was paying more attention than she did, I think would be a bit of a disservice. So I don't think that my score really matters. What if you want my opinion based upon what I saw? I think Triple G won the fight for sure.
Yeah.
If you want to say I mean, definitely Canelo won rounds, but not enough to warrant a draw. I mean, it's just it's kind of like one of those things, man. It's like, you get to fuck the hottest chick in the world, and then, oh yeah, by the way, you can't come. Like, what are you talking about?
It's I thought it was I had it
disappointing.
Scored 8 rounds to 4 for Triple G, but I could definitely see 7 to 5, which was how one of the judges scored it, 115 to 113. Even the one judge who scored at 114 as a draw, I thought was off base. And one of the rounds that he scored as a draw, I think it was round 7. Was the one that Triple G clearly won, and he scored it for Canelo. So it's just really bizarre. It's really bizarre scoring, because I thought the rounds that there was one round that Canelo won. I can't remember which round it was. There was one round that Canelo won that I was like, that was definitely a Canelo round.
Yeah.
But every other round that I kind of thought that Canelo won was yeah, I guess Canelo won, that kind of thing. When Golovkin won the rounds, I was pretty confident Golovkin won the rounds. And when it was over, I was like, wow, that was a great performance from Triple G. He really showed up, man. 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4. Great job. And then when the score came out 118 to 110 for Canelo, I was just like, what fight were you watching? And this lady...
On what planet were you watching it from? Like, come on.
And this lady is notorious for bad scoring because she's done it in MMA before as well. Like, famously, the fight between Jamie Varner and Melvin Gillard, when Jamie Varner clearly dominated, and the two other judges scored at 30-27 for Jamie Varner. She scored at 30-27 for Melvin Gillard. It was the most bizarre split decision in history because it was so clear-cut who won that fight. And there's been several others in her past where she's been, I think it's like 6 times, where she's been the discerning judge in a split decision where the other judges, agreed and then she didn't agree.
Well, so let me ask you a question. How many judges actually go back and forth from MMA to boxing?
Quite a few.
Quite a few?
Quite a few. I would say in Nevada and California, I would say, I won't say half, but I would say at least, probably about half the judges in MMA also judge boxing.
So we are.
Or actually, I would say that's the opposite. I would say about 3/4 of the judges in MMA also judge boxing. Maybe not the same for boxing.
Gotcha.
Going back across
Okay.
MMA.
That was my question.
Yeah.
But Adelaide Bird is one of those people.
Absolutely.
So she has enough understanding of the sport of MMA to be able to be a judge.
In theory, she has enough understanding of the sport of MMA.
Bob Bennett, I'm not sure who was pressuring him from the media, and I apologize to whoever it is. Maybe Damon, but they really did a good job of putting his feet on the fire, making him answer some questions after the fight.
Yeah,
what did you think about that? I mean, you think he's going to, of course, Bob Bennett is the head of the Nevada Athletic Commission.
I talked to Bob Bennett yesterday because there was a report that came out that Adelaide Bird was being pulled from UFC 216 in October because she was apparently going to be one of the judges. Well, I called Bob Bennett yesterday, and he flat out denied that and basically said no disciplinary action has been taken against Adelaide Bird. They're going to talk about it over the next few days, what they're going to end up doing. But she was still in consideration for UFC 216. They hadn't decided on the judges regardless. Like, they just hadn't picked the judges. Now,
that means she's not going to be there.
Will she end up judging at UFC 216? I'm guessing not. But as of now, he said no decision's been made because there were people reporting that she had been pulled and, she was set to judge and none of that was true. Like, the only judges that have been determined were for the main event between Ferguson and Lee. That was determined in a commission meeting like 2 weeks ago. And she wasn't on that list. She was on the list, but I'm saying she wasn't the one judging the fight. So it wasn't like she got pulled from the main event. So yeah, it was a bizarre thing. It was so funny though, because everyone said, man, the commission's finally doing something right. They're pulling this judge. And then I put out the story and I said, no, actually, he said they're not doing anything yet. And he's like, oh, never mind. Because judging, when you look at bad judging and bad refereeing, my God, it takes so much to get these people out of their jobs. And I don't want anyone to get vilified for making a mistake here and there. I get it. It's a human element and it's a very thankless job because when a referee does a good job, we're not pounding the drum and praising their name and saying, man, what a great job. You stopped the fight. Or a judge, man, you really got it right.
But nobody's heading over to my work and saying, hey, great show every day. Necessarily that's in a position of power. You know what I'm saying?
But so when you screw up, and especially in a fight sport, in a combat sport, because this isn't, not saying it's any better in football for a referee to blow a call, but in a 16-game season, you have a chance to, rectify that a week later. In fighting and in combat sports. Right.
That's a big, big factor.
Yeah, like Canelo and Triple G, they're talking about a rematch and, all that stuff. But, just think about how many people are disappointed by that, the result, the result of that fight being a draw when so many people clearly believe Triple G won. And then for that scorecard to come out 118 to 110 Canelo, that's just bizarre on another level that I can't even describe. And people say, well, it doesn't ruin how good the fight was. Yes, in a way it does. It doesn't ruin how good the fight was. It ruins the result, which is what you ultimately pay to see. You pay to see the result as much as you pay to see the fight. You don't just pay to see. If that's the case, then I want everyone who says the result has no meaning whatsoever in the fight. Doesn't ruin that it was a great fight. Awesome. I want you to go back and watch, I want you to go watch Conor and Nate Diaz 2, which is my personal favorite fight of all time. Watch it, and at the end, when they get ready to announce the decision, just shut off your TV. Because you want to know who won.
Yeah.
You
want to hear the funniest story of all?
Shoot.
So I'm at that club. Like I told you, at that place. We were talking about it on the show. Whenever. It was like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So for all the UFC parties, I'm there. Like for the rest of the UFC pay-per-views, you can find me in Columbus, Ohio on Cleveland Avenue at a place called Sirens. Come on in. It's free. We'll party together. So I couldn't hear the sound, like I said. Based upon the fight that I saw Triple G winning. So as soon as the fight was over, it was like everybody's bailing. So I was like, giving high fives and like, shaking hands and all this stuff. And just assuming that when I turned around and saw Triple G being interviewed, that was his victory interview. And I'm like, wow, he doesn't look very happy, but well, as former Soviet Union, those guys are kind of stoic, you know what I'm saying? So it's probably not a big deal. I'm driving home with my wife, and she turns to me because I'm talking about the fight, and she goes, it was a draw, right? Because she was reading Twitter, and I was like, what? I was blown away. So I'm driving home. I had to stop to get gas because my jiu-jitsu coach, Dan, my friend, and his wife were coming over to our house to hang out a little bit. And like, I was like, dude, I got to get gas. We got out of the car, and I'm like, do you even know that we're friggin' idiots? Like, we have no idea what really happened in the fight. We just assumed that goes to show you that a bar full of people just assumed that based on the performance that they watched, Triple G was the winner.
Right.
That right there like spoke volumes to me because I was like, and these people are drunk too, by the way.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. You didn't know it was
I had no idea. I thought, obviously I'm like, I feel so dumb, but then the outrage set in, like everybody else went through it like, 20, 30 minutes earlier than I did.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it, man.
Yeah, it was just disappointing. It's just one of those things that, that continues to haunt, and everyone says, this is what's wrong with boxing. Listen, this still happens in MMA too. It's not like MMA judges always get it right. We criticize MMA judging all the time. But just with a fight of this magnitude, it's amplified. That's all there is to it. It's amplified. You know what I mean? Like if Conor and Floyd had gone to a decision and, Conor had clearly lost the fight, 10 rounds to 2, and one judge scored the fight 118-110 for Conor, do you think people would be upset? Yeah, of course people would be upset. Even if Floyd ended up winning, it doesn't matter. The one scorecard is just so out there, you know what I mean? And it seems to haunt boxing in big fights, you know what I mean? Like, it seems to happen more in boxing with big fights. It happened in that Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight where a lot of people thought that Pacquiao won. It happened in the Pacquiao-Tim Bradley fight where pretty much everyone believed Manny Pacquiao won. Not to say it hasn't happened in MMA. I mean, Mauricio Shogun Rua, got screwed out of his decision against Lyoto Machida, in my opinion. But even that was a bit of a judgment call based on, how you scored leg kicks as damage, things like that. And we've had horribly bad decisions in MMA before too, don't get me wrong. But typically, and again, I'm not saying it's never happened, but typically they're not in the biggest fights. We haven't seen that. No one really complained about the Diaz-McGregor decision. That was a huge fight, and everyone seemed to agree. It was a majority decision, but it was, everyone seemed to think it was 3 rounds to 2 for Conor. Pretty clear cut. But in boxing, it just keeps happening with the big fights. You know what I mean? Like, it just keeps happening with these main event, big draw fights. Canelo, Triple G, second biggest fight of the year in boxing. And this is what we're talking about, the decision. And that's why everyone says, it doesn't ruin how good the fight was. I know it doesn't ruin how good they performed. And to me, was it a good fight? Yeah, it was a good fight. Was it a great fight? I didn't think it was a great fight. I thought it was a good fight. I thought Klitschko-Joshua was much better.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, I didn't think it was the greatest fight of all time, but I thought it was a great fight.
It was a good fight.
Yeah.
It was a good fight. But,
it was great on the heels of Mayweather-McGregor. Yeah. I wonder if they would have gotten it right. If it was Triple G was the winner, hands down, unanimous decision, no problem. Everybody agreed. I wonder what the world would be like for boxing. Because right now, this win that then has almost been masked as a loss in the face of Oscar de la Hoya is kind of now a blemish for boxing, where it was a win for a hot second, before before the decision came in. Like, so I wonder how that's sitting with people. Like, I wonder if anyone's thought of that.
Well, that's the biggest problem right there. Is it was supposed to be a glorious moment for boxing, 2 of the greatest boxers in the world finally facing off, and then for it to end the way it did, not only in a draw. It's not the draw that I think bothers people. It's the one scorecard. The one other judge scored a draw, which I disagree with him too, 114-114. I didn't agree with that score either, but I can understand how it was close. There were a couple close rounds in there, I get it. But the one judge, the most definitive scorecard of all, was the one scoring at 118-110 for Canelo.
Just crazy.
And no one had the fight scored that way. No one, except this one judge. And that's what ruins it. That's what I said. It's not that it ruins how good the fight was, But at the end of the day, you want a result. You want to know. Like I said, the argument is like, it's asinine to me because it's like watching a great football game, watching the Super Bowl with the Patriots and the Falcons last year with that incredible comeback by the Patriots in the second half. And then let's say it's tied in the fourth quarter and then you just shut the TV off.
Yeah, no way.
You want to see the result. You want to see the winner. That's the whole point of watching sports.
So Brendan Schaub got it right. He was the guy that called out that, if there was going to be anything that was going to go on with Triple G, it was the fact that he hadn't fought in Vegas and there'd be some fuckery with the judging.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Doesn't shock me.
No, I mean, I don't think that that's like some Nostradamus like prediction, but, pretty dead on. Props to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just unfortunate, man. It's just unfortunate that a great fight ends that way. And like I said, that's what we're all talking about. Who really won the fight? How bad was the scorecard? Was the fight good? Yeah, it was a fun fight. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it just, like you said, it just turns terrible for boxing. It's terrible for those two athletes. That's what I think too, because Canelo Alvarez is a hell of an athlete. Triple G is a hell of an athlete. And it's just too bad that what people are saying now is instead of like, man, those guys are warriors, I want to see them go at it again. It's like, well, God, I hope it's somewhere else other than Vegas.
Yeah. And they're going to do a rematch.
So where are the other places that Triple G has fought? I know he made his debut at 30 in Buffalo.
He fought in L.A. He fought at Staples.
Okay, so California.
Yeah, he fought in California. I'm not sure where else he's fought. I know his last big fight, I want to say, it was in Inglewood in California.
Well, that would be huge. Los Angeles, even for Canelo. I mean, that's huge. The Mexican population in Southern California, are you kidding me? Yeah. He would own it.
Yeah, but I have a feeling they're going to end up going back to Vegas.
New York City, they would probably, it's got to be a large Kazakh population.
No.
And, come on, Mexicans, are like second Americans. They're everywhere. So, it's not like you can pinpoint a few areas, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, really, they could fight anywhere in the whole country and draw a huge crowd, not just Vegas.
Well, it's just like, saying, there's more Irish people in Boston and New York, but, I'm Irish. There's Irish people everywhere. Like, you can go anywhere. If Conor McGregor fights, people are going to come out and see him fight.
Yeah, but if traditionally, I guess if you're going to go to like a stronghold, you would say South Bend, Indiana.
but yeah, California, do it at Staples Center. You know what I mean? That'd be a big event. You know what I mean?
You know what I saw? Speaking of big events, man, big events in the Matt Brown camp. Big stuff happening, dude. That fight with Diego Sanchez. By the way, got my tickets, headed to Norfolk. Can't wait. So pumped. Immortal team back together, and Dorian Price back in the camp of Matt the Immortal Brown.
Yeah, I saw he was out there now.
Let me tell you how important that piece is to the puzzle, man. I think this fight's gonna, show everybody in that division, the welterweight division, who Matt Brown is, and just a little reminder, of what it's like to wake a sleeping giant. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That fight's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I don't see a way that fight's not awesome. If it lasts 2 minutes, it's going to be awesome. Diego Sanchez is not a guy who is not known for bringing it. The guy always.
Do you worry about Diego a little bit, just being a little on the small side?
Yeah, when I heard about the fight and it was going to be at 170, I was a little concerned because Diego, while he did fight for a big part of his career to welterweight,
different time in the welterweight division.
Time in the division. Yeah. I made this remark.
Matt Serra's,
I made this remark to somebody else. I can't remember who it was a couple of weeks ago, but I was talking about how Jens Pulver, who is a legend, was a UFC lightweight champion. If you put him and you stood him next to Conor McGregor or Tony Ferguson or Kevin Lee today, he would look like he's 3 weight classes below them because they're so much bigger and stronger and better at cutting weight and all the things that, look at any of the guys from the old days. Look at BJ Penn. BJ Penn looked massively outsized in some of his lightweight fights at the end. You know what I mean? Yair Rodriguez looked like a giant next to him.
That was kind of weird.
You know what I mean? And so, and Yair's a freaking featherweight. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. The times have changed, So Diego Sanchez being a welterweight 10 years ago when he was on The Ultimate Fighter and coming off The Ultimate Fighter is not the same as being a welterweight today. Matt Brown is a big welterweight.
Well, a guy that was on The Ultimate Fighter at middleweight.
Yeah.
And which is kind of the same for him, which, he was like, all right, 70's probably my thing, which is, it's a weight cut for sure. But, if you were a guessing guy, you'd probably say, oh, Matt, 185.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does concern me a little bit. I never questioned Diego Sanchez's heart and spirit because the guy's just a freaking warrior. You know what I mean? The guy just goes out there and fights his heart out every single time. But, you are talking about more shots being landed, harder shots being landed, more power. And this is a guy who has been knocked out before and he's taken a lot of damage during his career. You wonder a little bit about that. But, Listen, I mean, Diego's one of those guys that, when people say the guy should retire, there are times when I have advocated for fighters to retire. But, Diego's been around and he's been in some wars. And yes, he has gotten knocked out more recently, but, the guy's a warrior. So, let him go in there and, go out on his shield. And I think it'll be an amazing fight. I think he's going to bring it. I think Matt's going to bring it. I think this is going to be an amazing, amazing fight for the fans.
Let's ask the obvious question. What does this do for Matt Brown? We know what it would do for Diego Sanchez in the welterweight division, but what does this do for Matt Brown? A win over a guy it's been forever since he even fought in the division.
I don't think a win over Diego Sanchez does as much for Matt Brown in terms of beating Diego Sanchez as much as it gets Matt back on track. Matt suffered
back in the conversation.
Matt suffered a pretty bad knockout in his last fight.
I mean, had to be. But the difference is like, the first time ever being knocked out versus, and also it took like Cowboy basically like to have a freight train of a leg to knock Matt Brown out. That fight was shifting back into Matt's favor right before, that knockout. And I think that, Diego Sanchez obviously suffering way more damage, in his fights, but, still one of my favorite fighters to watch. Both of these guys, outside of a personal relationship, knowing Matt and his family, it's, just two of the classic, what the UFC, the meat and potatoes was built on. Why we're all fans, man. Guys that just go in there and let them bang, bro.
It's a big moment for Matt because obviously, he took some time off after the knockout. He said he was taking some time off, so it's going to be about 11 months since he fought because he fought in December and he's coming back in November. So it's about 11 months off.
Super smart.
And it's a big moment for him because if he can go out there and knock out Diego Sanchez, it kind of reintroduces him to the division. It kind of reminds people what Matt Brown is capable of. And the other fun part about it is the Matt Brown win also sets up a lot of potential matchups because the welterweight division has changed a lot in this last year. I mean, and even the 11 months that he's been gone, or it'll be 11 months when he's been gone, because you got a guy like Mike Perry, who picked up a huge win over the weekend. That guy's a freaking killer. You got Thiago Alves is back. I mean, obviously he was supposed to fight Mike Perry. He, ended up not fighting him because he stayed home due to the hurricane. You got a guy like that. You got a guy like Kamaru Usman who got a huge knockout over the weekend. You got some new prospects in there. Some of the old guard has changed a little bit. A lot of the guys at the top of the division had lost recently. So it's a bit of a changing of the guard. And so it's a really interesting time for the welterweight division. In my opinion, the welterweight division has been the best and deepest division in the UFC for a lot of years. And Matt, for about, 2.5 year span there was one of the top 5 guys in the world. So it's kind of a chance for him to remind people, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah. At 35, 36 years old, still in prime. I mean, ready to go. Diego Sanchez, like I said, a win over Matt Brown says it all. I mean, at that weight, I mean, coming off of, he lost to Yair Rodriguez also.
Diego didn't fight Yair.
Who's the last person that just knocked him out? Was it not?
Diego fought, am I thinking, was it Al Iaquinta who he fought last?
It was Al. That's right. Al gave him a terrible time. That's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that was it. But yeah, so, I mean, that's, but Diego, like I said, Diego's been around. Diego knows what he's doing. Like I said, the guy's a warrior. I'm not going to fault the guy for, not going to fault the guy for wanting to, test things out. I mean, the guy fought down at featherweight. He's fought it. I mean, let's not forget when he was on the Ultimate Fighter, he fought a freaking middleweight. You know what I mean?
Oh, nothing but respect for him, man. If nothing else, balls to take a fight with Matt Brown. Are you kidding me?
He lost to Al Iaquinta by knockout. Yeah, he lost to Al Iaquinta by knockout in the first round. And he lost to Joe Lozon by knockout at UFC 200. So he's had 2 knockout losses in his last 3 fights, and it was the first knockout losses of his career. So, stepping up and fighting Matt Brown at welterweight, after getting knocked out at lightweight, yeah, you got some cojones to go in there, because Matt Brown, beyond anything else, Matt Brown hits like a freaking truck, and he is a Terminator. He goes forward, and he comes forward. But that's the thing. That's what makes this a fun matchup.
Oh, absolutely.
Diego comes forward.
Yes.
Matt Brown comes forward. It's like collision. It's like a train collision about to happen.
It's absolutely correct, man. So, Cowboy Cerrone has, we talked about him with the Matt Brown fight just a few minutes ago. The fight that he has in front of him, not such a well-known guy, but man, knockout power, well-trained, been around a while.
Yeah, Darren Till's a tough guy. He's, coming off a win in his last fight in the UFC. He was asking for a step up in competition.
Is he English? Is he Scottish?
He's born in England and he lives in Brazil. So he's
because he speaks Portuguese, right?
Fluent Portuguese. Yeah, absolutely. So he's like born in, it's the weirdest combination ever. Born in England, raised in England, now lives in Brazil. And he's a Brazilian, he's lived in Brazil for many, many years. But he still has the British accent, which is hilarious.
Oh, it's harsh too, like Ozzy.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a good fighter. This is a big step up in competition, though. But I like it. Not every time when they make these matchups does it make a lot of sense when you get a real established guy to kind of fight a bit of an up and comer. But every now and again, these are fun fights. You get an opportunity. Darren Till has a chance to shine. In an opportunity like this, it kind of reminds me of that fight back in I can't remember, a couple months ago. Maybe it was July when Ricardo Lamas fought Jason Knight. Jason Knight was a good prospect, man. He looked really good in a couple fights in a row. And he stepped in and fought Ricardo Lamas on short notice. Now, Ricardo Lamas ended up just exterminating. It was a nasty finish to that fight. But you like to give these people, someone's got to get an opportunity. You know what I mean? Jason Knight took it. He missed his shot, but guess what? You got to take those shots.
This Darren Till, though, man, this guy is a real danger. And
he is.
I mean, he's a big guy. He's really a middleweight. I mean, the guy's fucking huge. He cuts a lot of weight. He definitely cuts a lot of weight. You see him, in contrast, Cerrone, of course, speaking of guys that fought at lightweight for a long time, coming up from 55, he's had success at 70, of course. But this is a big fight, man. And he said he didn't even know who Till was when he took the fight. How cowboy is that?
That's cowboy every time. I'd be shocked.
I don't even know who he is. And then his grandma thought Darren Till was talking shit about him or something. I was reading online. I thought his grandmother thought Till called him a cunt. So, Till was nice enough to clear that up, I love Cowboy Cerrone's grandma's the best. She's in the game, watching over, making sure everything's chill.
Yeah, Cowboy's a trip, man. Dude, but that's what you got. That's why everyone loves Cowboy. It's not when he says he doesn't know who Darren Till is. He's not insulting Darren Till. That's just Cowboy. He's just I don't know who this guy is, but I'll fight him.
Yeah,
that's what you like about that guy. Be like, oh, by the way, you're fighting this guy. He's a pretty good knockout. His name's King Kong. Have you heard of him? And Cerrone's like, I don't know him, but I'll fight him. That's what you love about it. That's what you love about Cerrone. That's why people love Cowboys, because the guy's just always willing to step up and take the fights.
Well, out of those four men, depending on winners, there's some fun fights there.
Yeah.
Cowboy, the highest ranked out of all of them, but supposing Cowboy loses to Darren Till, check this out, then Matt Brown beats Diego Sanchez. Matt Brown against Till would be a sick fight. Diego against Cowboy would be a sick fight. Did they fight at 55?
They train together, so they're not going to fight each other.
Yeah, that's true. Jackson's, huh?
They train at Jackson, so I like the idea of that. Also,
what's up with that, man? American Top Team will get it done. But it's like Jackson's, they don't cross that line. It's funny,
right? They don't really cross that line. They've done it. It's happened, but not very often.
Jackson's doesn't have multiple locations all over the planet, though.
Yeah, Overeem fought Arlovsky. That was a little bit of bad blood there. They both trained at Jackson. So it's happened. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Jackson Winklejohn is one academy. ATT, that's like everyone talking about.
Yeah.
Like with Tyron Woodley fighting Robbie Lawler, there was a little bit of bad blood there about the ATT thing, but Tyron doesn't even really train in Florida. He trains in Missouri, where he's from.
Well, even at headquarters, you could go and roll, in Coconut Creek, and never ever roll with certain people in the class.
When I was down at American Top Team, doing my profile on Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she was rolling. I saw her grappling with Nina Ansaroff, who was in her division. You know what I mean? Jessica Aguilar was down there working, who's in her division. Tisha Torres is no longer there, but she was there, at the time. She's no longer training at ATT. But, she's another 115-pound fighter. So there's a way to do it. You know what I mean? You can train along somebody and eventually fight them. They all know. It's business, And personally, when you mentioned the Darren Till Cowboy Cerrone fight, the fight I'd like to see is the winner of that fight Mike Perry.
Fucking Mike Perry's a beast.
That dude, man. That dude with that knee. Now granted, I give him credit. Alex Reyes, took the fight on short notice. He's legitimately a lightweight, not a welterweight, but still, man, to go out there and get a first round knockout the way, listen, to me, it's the toughest fights a lot of times for fighters are the ones you're supposed to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
When everyone's telling you you're going to win, you're going to just blow through this guy has no business being in the octagon with you. Those sometimes are the toughest fights because everyone's looking to you to shine. And it's hard to do that sometimes, you know what I mean? And so for Mike Perry to go out there and just destroyed this kid in the first round with the knee. Oh my God, it was so bad.
Pretty fucking impressive.
That's an impressive win to me. You know what I mean? Like, that's an impressive win to me, is when you can go out there and win the fight you're supposed to win, because it doesn't always happen. Or if you go out there and he fights 3 rounds and it's a grind, everyone's going to criticize you. How did you go 3 rounds with a late replacement? He stepped in on 3 days notice, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. So the fact that Perry went out there and just exterminated this kid inside of 1 round was very impressive to me.
Bas Rutten sits down with Damon Martin. Let's check this out, man.
So how is everything? Obviously, you're always a very, very busy man. What million things are you up to right now?
Right now, I just started shooting the show Kevin Lee with Kevin James on CBS.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, 2nd season. And Rutger, I played 4 episodes last year and last season, and now they wanted me back. So it's really... I'm extremely happy about this.
That's awesome. I know we talked about that last year when you worked a little bit with Chris Weidman as well, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So very cool. So lots of stuff I want to talk to you about today, boss. But let me kind of start off with the reason we're talking, which is the company you're working with, Receptor, and I actually talked to those guys yesterday. And I know you've been an advocate for CBD use in mixed martial arts. A lot of fans probably remember that name mostly from the post-fight press conference when Nate Diaz, said he was taking CBD after the fight with Conor McGregor, and a lot of people at that point were like, "What is this stuff? What is it?" Kind of give me your experience with this stuff. Like, how did you find out about the benefits of CBD oil as a fighter and as a guy who has dealt with severe pain, throughout your entire career?
First of all, I had a painkiller addiction a while ago. That went on for my last fight, because I had so many injuries in the last fight. It started there, and I think in 2000, like a year, 15 minutes of a year, and a couple of months later, I started detoxing, realizing that it went completely wrong. So I never wanted to get pain pills anymore. And then I saw this article of this 3-part big documentary on One American News about CBD, and that was in Israel. They started this whole thing in Israel, and that they were able to distract the CBD, separate the CBD and the CED, THC, the 2 components in marijuana. The THC, of course, makes you high, psychedelic, and this CBD, that actually is the stuff where most fighters use it for the pain and for the inflammation. Now, and if you're a guy like me, if I smoke weed, there's no way I can do a show or an interview or nothing. Other people, 50% of the people, they strive on it, and the other people don't. So for me, taking weed was never an option, because, with the TV shows and everything I do, I'm losing my memory. So I was really interested when I saw that, and then suddenly it came to America, and I started trying a whole bunch of different stuffs out, and the 4th one was the Receptor product, and I realized the other ones had no THC in it whatsoever. A Receptor has 0.5% in there. It's a legal amount, so you can send it throughout the whole world. Well, I wouldn't send it to Singapore or something, but we send it to Holland. And of course, in Holland, that's okay. But I mean, to all 50 states, it's all legal here. And that little tiny, they found out that if you really want the full effect of it, there needs to be a little tiny bit of THC in there. And I started trying it, and it was amazing. And I remember this is the story I always say, because I had to go to San Diego, and I had a lot of back pain. At the moment, I did something wrong in training, I guess. And I asked my wife for pain pills. I said, for like Vicodin, for Norcos, I don't know what I had, but I gave it to my wife because I don't want those pills in my possession, because you never know, right? So I said, give me 2 of those pills. If I can't hold it anymore, I'm gonna use them. So just before I go into the car, I say, you know what? I'm going to try the CBD. I'm just taking a little bit more. So I took a whole dropper of that stuff. I ate a little slice of bread with it. Like 5 minutes later, I always do that for some reason with me. It starts working immediately if I do that. If you eat something with it. And I was on the way calling my wife. I said, listen, I'm bringing the pills back. I don't need it. This is almost the same feeling. Makes me warm. The inflammation was gone. The pain was gone. And I know a lot of people, they say, oh, it's not true. It's holistic. It's that, but they never tried it. So I said, why don't you try it first? So thankfully, I have a lot of other these little tester bottles. I helped so many friends already with it. A friend of mine had gout, could not come out of bed, and he has his own job, his own business. So that was really bad. Could crawl over the floor to go to the restroom. If you saw his leg, like the ball behind his knee and his hands, everything was blown up. And I brought him CBD, and 2 days later he's working. And then the people with seizures, the people with Parkinson's, the people, it's crazy. Skin cancer. Well, you just rub CBD on it and boom, skin cancer dies because you put it in an environment that it cannot live. So it has a it has a lot of a plethora, as someone would say, of things that it can cure. And I think they just, scratch the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Well, I know that from my experience, a lot of people, that's one of the biggest things in pro sports right now with marijuana advocacy is players, athletes, and especially in our sport and mixed martial arts fighters, dealing with such severe pain and trying to avoid prescription pain medication because it is so addictive. And CBD oil is basically the same benefits without the high. I guess that's the best way to say it, right? Like it's the same benefit of marijuana without getting high. I don't know a better way to put it.
No, that's exactly it. You will feel it though. You feel, if you're like a guy who's in the cars constantly annoyed by people and screaming or whatever, if you take that, it will help with that as well. Because it makes you a little calmer. You get warm and nice, but your mind stays normal. Like normally when I would smoke weed, I have literally, and I'm not kidding, it's like a 3 or a 5 second memory. Like if you ask me 2 questions in one, then I will remember the first one, the second one, I'm going to have to ask you what it was. So my friends always start laughing, and I say, yeah, it's useless to me. I can't do it. But CBD, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. Now, a lot of newer fans, obviously know you from your work in commentary and know you from your work, on TV and doing different things like that. But obviously you were one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. But I think a lot of people at this stage, like in 2017, may not know, the severe stuff you went through, neck injuries, knees. You had a lot of pain, right? This was not like just a minor surgery. You dealt with a lot of pain.
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of stuff, yeah. And it happened not because of fighting. That's the worst thing. It happened in the TV show. I just dropped upside down on top of my head. And not even from a high thing. I would say like 5-inch. But, it's my whole body weight on top of my head. And that crunched my nerves together in my neck. And, well, if the nerves don't work, it's like taking the spark plug out of the car, out of the cylinder. The cylinder won't work anymore. And that works with the muscles as well. So I had 4 neck surgeries. But, yeah, and after my last fight, I had everything. My kneecaps became completely bald. It's bone on bone. If I'm standing in a certain position and I move, you can hear the bone on bone. It will freak you out. I did it last week for Kevin James. He goes, "What? My God, what is that?" I said, "Those are my knees." He goes, "I had no clue it was that bad." I said, "Oh, it is really that bad." And I pulled a hamstring, and my rib was out, and and my tendonitis came back. I had so much pain going into the fight. And I remember in the morning, because they asked you, the athletic commission, to bring whatever you use. So I brought a bottle of Norco, and I brought everything that I used, and they said, "What did you take?" And I said, "Well, this morning at 10 o'clock, because the label says, 8 hours in between, and I didn't want it to affect my mind, because maybe it slows me down in the fight. It was 7 years ago that I fought, but that's where it started, because the next day, of course, the pain was still there, and then 1 pill becomes 2, 4, 3, 6, and then in months you're taking insane amounts. It's really crazy how fast that goes.
Yeah, and it's insanely addictive. That's the biggest thing, is how addictive, because once you start on pain pills, the problem is that it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. Like if you're like, okay, I need one more. I took 2 pills this morning. Maybe 3 would make me feel better. Oh, 3 made me feel better. How about 4? I bet that made me feel really good. And it just kind of spirals out of control. And that's the problem with the prescription pain medication industry, is it's very, very easy to get addicted.
You hit it on the nail. It's like once you start with it, it only goes wrong. Now, if you after my last neck surgeries, because I had that problem was in 2008, I fixed the whole problem, but my neck surgery started later, and then you can pay medication as well. But that I made 100% sure that I was not exceeding a certain amount of pills, only when you're in extreme pain. Now, if CBD would have been there already, that would have helped great, because CBD, what it does as well, it enhances the effect from whatever pill you're taking. So if you're used to taking 3 Norcos, I'm saying, just throwing it out there, if you take CBD first, you'll have the same effect with 1 Norco. So it's really easy. There's now here in Los Angeles, there's a therapy center, for addiction, and they treat people with CBD.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is, from your personal experience, because you've been there, you know it, but this is something that I know you're an advocate for all mixed martial arts, because we don't hear about it as much, but I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, mixed martial arts, because it is a complete sport, meaning your entire body is being used, there's a lot of nagging injuries and pain. A lot of fighters deal with a lot of pain. That's why you hear a lot of people talk about marijuana advocacy, which I'm all for also, by the way, but the CBD oil, like I said, it kind of takes that element away. You don't have to worry about the marijuana part. It just does the part with the pain relief and helps you deal with the inflammation in your joints. I mean, these are things that all fighters deal with. This is guys who are 18 years old deal with it, all the way to, the veterans in the sport. This is something very common in MMA.
I bless God that they don't have this available, the pain pills in Holland. Because I guarantee you, if that would have been in Holland, because I've been through some pain in my life, of course, with fighting, I would have tried them there. And it's like alcohol, so the people are just wired a certain way. For me, it's very easy not to drink, but it's very hard to drink just 2 drinks, and 1 drink is easy. 2 drinks, and you have a tiny little buzz, you go like, a third, and it goes really fast. I finally have it under control, but I mean, a lot of these fighters are exactly the same mindset. We always look for more is better, harder training, harder this. You're pushing constantly, and you do that automatically also with the bad things.
Yeah, not to get you to name names, Bas, because you travel around and you see so many fighters. I mean, have you had this conversation with other fighters where you kind of discovered that this is something they're dealing with? And I imagine, you probably told them, because we're seeing this, because the stigma around marijuana and even CBD at this point, I think, is going away a lot in this country, which obviously you're from Holland, so you're in a much different place. But when you look at the United States, the stigma going around with this has gone away a lot. But have you talked to other fighters who are curious or kind of asked you about it, or maybe you told them about it when they talk about the severe pain they're dealing with and the medication that they're probably being prescribed to deal with it?
Yeah. No, it's a very important. That's education. That's what we're doing now with the Athletes for Care program. It's a non-profit organization, and we have also even Britain, like football players on there, and they tell you also about the injuries they have, and that on the field during the match they just give them pills, and go back out there. It's just a very unhealthy thing to do. So yeah, I've been talking to a lot of fighters. I mean, Frank Shamrock is on the board. I got him also. But you look, Chris Lieben. I mean, no, that's not a secret with him. He's been addicted to it. And then you have way more fights. Yeah, I'm not going to mention those names indeed. But Mark Kerr, I would say, is the first one who came out with it in the documentary, The Smashing Machine. And that's where you really could see what pain medication can do to somebody who was on top of the world, and then he just completely flew off of it.
Yeah, and I think, beyond anything that's working with Receptor or any of the, any CBD oil, I mean, I think this is just a safer, smarter way to deal with pain management in our sport. And I hope that, more people really look into this and dig into it, because I'm not going to name names, but I know a lot of fighters I've spoken to who do have to, kind of self-medicate with that, because they don't want to deal with the pain pills. They don't want to take a chance of getting addicted, because there's so much side effects that go along with pain medication that you get hooked on that it's a big deal. And so I think something like this that's natural and obviously very safe and non-addictive, makes a big difference.
The thing with pain pills is also what people don't realize is, like, you take it for pain, but what happens is you're attacking your liver. And especially if later you jump to OxyContin, because if you take too much Vicodins or Norcos, there's a lot of Tylenol in there. It's really bad for your liver. And once you need your liver to recoup from anything, for everything. So if you're overtrained, your liver needs to be working perfect, because then you recoup faster. Now, if you start taking pain pills, your liver needs to break that down first. So now that's the number one priority. And then the recouping from you, well, that's going to be the second priority, And once you start doing that, you're taking more and more pain pills, but you're not healing yourself. And the thing with CBD is it's completely safe. I mean, you can drink a bottle. Yeah, you will get tired, but there's no amount. I think there's like 2 or 3 liters, like almost a gallon that you have to drink, and it's not. You still don't die. So I would say take that. It's good for your liver. It's good for your entire nervous system. It's for your hair, your skin. I mean, you name it. If you start Googling it and you start looking up what it does, it's insane. And like I said, they just started with this. This is only a couple of years happening right now, but I truly believe that there's way more that comes out. God made this plan for a reason, right? And I truly believe that we're figuring out now what it is.
Yeah.
And it's going to cure even bigger things.
Absolutely. Boss, before I get you out of here, I gotta ask you, because you were one of the people talking ahead of what happened last weekend, as far as the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight. You were one of the people, along with myself, that actually picked Conor to win that fight. I thought he went out there and made a great showing for himself, but I just want to get your kind of post-fight impressions. What did you think of that performance?
I thought it was an unbelievable performance. Everybody's talking now, when he got schooled, he didn't get schooled. He ran out of gas, then he started, but that's what happens to everybody. For a guy who never boxed a professional match in his life, and he fights the best boxer on the planet, he goes 10 rounds with him, and then people have the gall to say that that's not impressive. Come on, man. It's really impressive. You want to see something impressive? Get Mayweather, put him in the cage together with McGregor, and see how long that is going to take. I would love to see that, and it would actually be a good fight also, because I think it's going to be kind of a striking match, because everybody says, we'll take him down right away. Okay, it's not Conor's best strength, right? Takedowns. It's the same as me. I've been always a striker. I had great submissions, but my wrestling was never good. So if that's the case, then Mayweather can actually keep it on the feet, hopefully, for him, using his footwork. But then it's going to be an interesting match, because now you got the smaller gloves, they penetrate easier, they go easier through the targets, and then I would like to see who's going to win the fight then. So, I was extremely happy with his performance. Also, we remember every boxer said that he was not even able to land one punch on them. Boy, were they wrong, right? And I said it in every interview. I said, that I got to see that, because it's not like we don't know how to punch in mixed martial arts. I don't believe that he's not going to be able to land even one punch. He just outclassed him, especially in the first 3 rounds. Okay, I got it, because Mayweather, that's the way he starts. But overall, it was a great performance.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Conor made a great showing for himself. I think people were crazy to underestimate him going into that one. I mean, Floyd won. Kudos to him. He had a great performance in the end, and he is one of the greatest boxers of all time. But considering Conor was 0-0 going into that fight, and he won, in my opinion, I thought he won 4 rounds. You could say 3 rounds, depending on how you scored it. But to take that much from Floyd Mayweather, that's amazing.
It's really, and you heard Mayweather talking about it himself. I mean, this guy fought everybody. Canelo, he fought a lot of people. So to say that it was not a good showing, that makes absolutely no sense. It was. It really was. They just can't handle it for some reason. It's almost like the liberals and the Republicans against each other. They can't let it go. It's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Do you think, in your mind, boss, after seeing what you saw, do you think Conor should box again, or do you think he should stick with mixed martial arts?
I think that he will box again. It would be, personally to me, it would be stupid if he wouldn't do this. If he has a performance like this, now the whole Paulie Malignaggi thing that goes on, maybe that could be a nice little fight for him. And for this, if McGregor fights now, he's going to pull in big numbers. People just are gravitating towards this guy. They love to see him fight. He can make a killing in boxing, but so he can do in mixed martial arts as well. He was already making really good money at the UFC as well. But this one, of course, it's a new level. I mean, if he could walk away with $80 million now, now we're talking some serious money. And
I know I'm asking this off the cuff, but I am curious. How do you think Conor matches up with a guy like Paulie Malignaggi?
I think he will do great. I really think so. I mean, if you look what they did with McGregor, or with Mayweather, and then you take it to Paulie Malignaggi. I think it will be a great fight. Paul is super technical. He's not a knockout specialist, but, he does have some knockouts, but he's just a really technical boxer, a really crisp boxer. So it would be a great test for him, and especially with all the heated things that are going on between the both of them, you can sell this fight easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll get Malignaggi back out of retirement, right?
Yeah, it'll be a big payday for both of them, I'm sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of options right now. It's all open for him, and it's for him to decide what he's going to do. I think the biggest money is probably going to be in boxing, though. Yeah,
it's very true. Boss, it is always a pleasure, my friend. I appreciate the time. Enjoy filming and look forward to seeing you on Kevin Can't Wait Season 2. Thank you, as always, for the time, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
All right, my friend. Sounds good.
Talk to you soon.
Godspeed.
Bye-bye.
Yo, bye.
Awesome, man.
Bas Rutten, talking about some people that hopefully we're going to do some business with here on the podcast.
Yes.
Receptra. What's funny is CBD oil, which he was talking about, because Bas Rutten was, addicted to painkillers. And, he's been doing CBD oil, which a lot of people talk about it. Nate Diaz kind of brought it to the forefront after his second fight with Conor when he was talking about he was taking CBD oil. I never used CBD oil before myself, but the company actually sent me some samples, and when I had my sinus infection last week, I was having just terrible headaches. And I tried it out. I was like, man, maybe this stuff will help me out a little bit. And it did until I could make it to the doctor to actually get medication to clear up my sinuses. Stuff helped tremendously. I was like, to me, it's one of those things where you have to see it to believe it. Like
but
any company.
Non-psychoactive. A lot of people,
it's
a little freaked out.
It's a pain reliever in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? So it was. I was impressed. Let's put it that way.
But did you see a dragon?
Yeah.
No, it's non-psychoactive.
No, but I was impressed, because it's one of those things when you try something out, like you can, because anytime you're promoting a product, you're working with a company, it sounds like an advertisement. I get it. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about, a mattress company, you're talking about a shaving company. Until you use the product, to me, it just sounds like a commercial.
Yeah, my body's super beat up, man, from training at Westside Barbell or like jiu-jitsu or whatever it is, what have you. So I'm going to do the little test this week. Yeah. I'm going to test it out this week, and I'll let people know on the next episode.
Yeah. So to me, that's the way to do it. You got to try it yourself to find out. Oh, well, I guess unless, in certain cases, as long as you're not like, I don't know, if we got like some kind of weird other kind of sponsor, I don't know if I really want you to try that out.
I don't know. What are you thinking about right now?
I don't know. I was trying to think of like a sponsor that like I don't know that necessarily want to try other products, but yeah, to me you got to try out the product. You got to try out the product to make sure you actually like it.
On this show, on my radio show, I don't talk about anything unless I try it. So this week will be my week.
Yeah.
And if people want to find that, of course, we'll put that in the description below.
Yeah.
So much to get to. The legend Bas Rutten joining us here live. Fight Society podcast. Loper, Damon Martin, at Jeremy Loper, at Damon Martin. Instagram, Twitter, we're there. Up. Hashtag Fight Society. Ronda Rousey spotted at SmackDown coming to the defense of a little girl who was, I don't know, I kind of think it was a dick move by one of the ushers / security guys trying to protect Ronda Rousey. A little girl that was 6 came up to try to get her autograph, and I guess the guy shut her down. The girl started crying, so Ronda went over and was like, what? And to make things better, she got the dude. He just pinned his arms behind, like schoolyard. Somebody wrote on TMZ, was like, he hit him with the full Nelson. I was like, you might want to Google Phil Nelson before you write that. I was like, weird. But yeah, it's funny. She's making this transition slowly, or she's just being a fan and showing up when she wants to show up. What's your take on it?
I think it's inevitability that she's going to end up in WWE.
Because Shayna Baszler's already trained.
Shayna Baszler's there. She did the Mae Young Classic.
And what is that exactly? Because I'm kind of ignorant.
I want to say it was 32, it was 16 or 32. I can't remember. 16 or 32 woman tournament. And it was just like a tournament.
Is this like a pay-per-view? It's on the network?
No, it was on WWE Network. It was just like an ongoing series. Kind of like when they introduced the Cruiserweight division,
Okay, so like a weekly thing?
Yeah, and they had matches every week, and then the finals were, Shayna Baszler's in the finals. She lost the final, and now the girl who beat her is going to wrestle for the NXT title. So, it was an entrance into
women's NXT title.
Yeah, entrance into WWE, and I imagine, I'm just guessing, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing Shayna Baszler is probably going to end up in NXT as well. That's how it works.
You think Ronda would go to NXT?
Well, that's the thing. Somebody had actually posed this to me on Twitter. I thought it was a brilliant idea. They said, brilliant idea in terms of introducing Ronda. They said, maybe Shayna wins the tournament and then Ronda comes in to celebrate with her, and then at the end she turns on her, clotheslines her or something.
NWO?
Yeah, something like that.
What if she resurrected the NWO?
Yeah, Ronda, here's the thing. Ronda is a perfect fit for WWE for a couple of reasons. One, she obviously has the physicality. She's an athlete. She's a natural athlete. She's a champion. UFC, the transition is very easy there. 2, she's a big pro wrestling fan, so she gets it. She's not going to be brought in just to make money, because you see some athletes do that where they make that transition from football or other sports, and you can tell that they don't really know anything about pro wrestling. They're just going in there and they're kind of learning on the fly, and they're learning the business. Ronda truly loves it. And the other part is that Ronda, and this is a criticism, but it's also a compliment in a way, is why she would go well in WWE, is that Ronda has been doing the acting thing for a little while now. Now, I'm not, in my off time when I'm not doing mixed martial arts. I run a website, NerdcoreMovement.com, and I talk about movies and TV, and I do reviews. Ronda, I just watched the Emmy Awards over the weekend, the TV awards.
Yeah.
I don't think Ronda would be up for any of those. That's the kindest way I can say it.
Why not?
She's not the strongest actor yet. Maybe she will be. Maybe one day she will be. But right now, I wouldn't exactly peg her as a great actress. So, if she goes into WWE, she could just be a physical specimen, and then you could put her alongside, I don't know, Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman would be sick.
Who would just basically talk for her. And then she could occasionally grab the mic and say something.
Do you think she's going to be a heel, though? I kind of feel like in my gut she's going to be a heel.
I don't know.
Because being a babyface is so easy, right?
Well, I think in the beginning she would be a babyface just because of how popular she is.
But
she's not
going to get legit heel heat.
Not in the beginning. That's what I said. Like in the beginning, but that's why you put her with a guy like Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman, kind of straddles that line a little bit.
No, you're right, because Brock wouldn't get heel heat, necessarily the way he does.
Like Brock is not.
He doesn't really either. People pop when he comes out.
You can't say Brock is a heel or Brock is a face.
He plays that like Stone Cold.
Yeah, and that's what Ronda would be.
Between,
that's what Ronda would be.
Right, I love that.
And I think that, but I think it's a natural transition because it would allow Ronda to continue to be in her kind of pursuit of an acting career, because WWE at the end of the day is still, it's an acting profession. It's not real. Sorry, it's not.
What?
But Ronda has the physicality to go out there and do it, and she loves it. And
they make a gang of money.
They do. And who wouldn't? I mean, dude, I was in pro wrestling years ago. I love pro wrestling.
Beautiful champ.
I love pro wrestling. So if WWE called me up and said, "Hey, we want you to come work for us," I would love to work for WWE.
Ooh, let me talk to Damon. Yeah. Ooh, hello, Damon. It's the Mach. Yeah, need you to come. Ooh, gonna send you through a little Ohio Valley wrestling first. Yeah, and then guess what? Rikishi's gonna stank face you. Yeah, gonna go through the ranks, do a little hazing. Yeah, Wolfpack style. Ow. Werewolf in London, Ohio.
Old Mach. Columbus, Ohio's own Macho Man.
Yeah, I talked to Leap and Lanny Poffo, who was the genius, his brother.
His brother, yeah.
He's kind of into MMA.
Is he?
Yeah. That gimmick is no mistake. He's like super smart guy. I had no idea. Yeah, he said he's trained jiu-jitsu before.
Oh,
I was kind of surprised.
Interesting.
Yeah, so Ronda Rousey, I think that would be... I don't know, man. I think it's inevitable. I'm with you on that. I don't think this is just like her flirting and, going to the shows.
I think it's just a natural thing for her. She's wanted to do it for a while. They obviously want her.
Yeah.
She brings a lot of star power to the women's division.
But I like the low-key vibe. I like this. I feel like we lost this a little bit in the world in general, but like especially with show presentations. Like let it draw out a little bit. Like, she's there. It doesn't have to be, and then she's there, and then all of a sudden she's on TV and she's doing everything.
Yeah.
A couple situations. I like the guessing game, man. I think it's kind of neat. It only adds to the realness of the, the professional wrestling aspect of it, which MMA fans, which I guess is who you're trying to draw over, right? Because that's, why you're hiring all these people.
Right.
So they're going to want legit. They're going to want to they want to make it feel like the Attitude Era, right? Like
they want to make it feel real.
So she's got to be there that way.
Yeah.
They
want to make it
come in that way.
They want to make it feel real when it's not real. That's the thing about pro wrestling is they want to make it, everyone knows it's scripted and blah, 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 but you want to make it as real as possible. You want to make when people take the bumps they take, when people go through tables, when people do the crazy spots they do, you want to make it feel like, yeah, this guy just threw his body through a freaking table. It hurts.
You think Bubba Ray and Devon are really brothers?
I don't know. Maybe different mothers or different fathers. I don't know.
There's so much. There's so much possibility for her to make so much money. So wait. I wanted to ask you about this. So Ariel had on Edmund Tarvarian, I heard.
Yeah.
And dude, he sounds like he is like off in like a Lululand, man. Like I don't know. I've never said Lululand before, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Guy sounds crazy. Like he's holding on to something that's not real.
Yeah. Yeah, he's talking about Ronda if she comes back that he wants her to fight Cyborg, and I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hear the interview. I just read online. I saw the quotes, and I was just like, look. I don't have a problem if Ronda comes back. Ronda is still one of the greatest fighters in women's mixed martial arts history. No one can take that away from her. 2 losses, even bad losses, don't erase what she did before that. But when you've suffered 2 knockouts in a row, Chris Cyborg is not the fighter you want to come back and fight.
It'd be like Diego Sanchez getting knocked out by Matt Brown, coming back going, you know what? I'm thinking Brock Lesnar. That ugly son of a bitch is about to get some of this. You know what I mean? Like, you're thinking, whoa, hey, why don't you slow down there, fella?
Yeah, it's just a bit much. You know, it's like, whoa. Like, you know, like you can come back and, you know, maybe you can talk Misha to come out of retirement, or maybe you can fight someone else like a Raquel Pennington who's a good fighter and you want to introduce yourself back in the division, whatever. But Chris Cyborg, really? You want to face the most fearsome, scariest women's fighter of all time after 2 knockout losses? That's really the fight you want? No. When I heard that, and I didn't listen to the interview, I just heard about it. When I heard about it, I was just like, really? Did someone mishear him? Like, did he say something else? Like, did he really say that?
Do you think that that's like a little peer inside of like what she's been dealing with for a long time?
That
like,
could
you
be
know
the
what I'm
problem.
saying? Like this altered sense of reality. That's what I'm getting towards.
Yeah.
Is like, it just seemed to me, you know, like joking around saying he's crazy, but in reality, like it seemed to me that this guy was coming from a place that wasn't the same place that everyone else sees. You know, he's seeing green, everyone else is seeing red, and yeah, it's not being reported the same way.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's like, you're like, were we watching the same fight?
Yeah, are we in the same, like, you know, time zone, universe? Like, are we even, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
It just seemed to me that, like, he says how much he cares for her, but at the same time, I mean, I hate to say it, but what that girl needs if she goes back to MMA is she needs a fight. She needs to fight like a can. I mean, you know, she needs to fight somebody that has a good name, but, you know, someone that is a for sure win. Let her get her swagger back, and then I think you see the real Ronda Rousey. I think you need to let that happen for an athlete.
I don't think she has to. I mean, I don't think she comes back.
I don't think so either. No, I think you're
You know
right.
what I mean? Like the inside, like he says there's a 50-50 chance. I mean, I guess that, you know, but he knows better than I do because I'm not talking to Ronda every day.
So
but
you got a car payment? I mean, what's happening, man?
Well, he doesn't have a lot of fighters left on his roster, that's for sure.
Like zero ever. You talk about, like, I've never seen a place abandon ship so quick.
Yeah.
Who else is there? There's nobody left, right?
No.
I mean, that anyone would know that wasn't necessarily there before.
No. Everybody's left. Everyone jumped off that ship. Like I said, I mean, I don't dislike the guy. I don't think he's, you know, necessarily a bad dude, but I just think, you know, he's living in a weird alternate reality, like you said, where it's like, it's almost like he doesn't realize how bad those last 2 losses were for Ronda. And, you know, if you really care about a fighter or a person or whoever, you know, you want what's best for them. And I don't know that what's best for Ronda is fighting again. Like, I'm not saying she should retire. I'm just saying that, like, does she gain much from?
No, I feel you. I think what you're saying is
for Ronda coming.
Right.
If Ronda wants to come back, for me, for Ronda coming back would be for redemption, to, you know, prove herself. You know, maybe get one more win and then
because
walk away.
She really wanted to come back. She couldn't live with herself.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Had to have it. I'm gonna be whatever age. This is not how this story ends. Fuck that. I'm the best in the world. I'm coming back. Here's the real me. I think that only happens, Damon, is if and when she changes camps.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the right camp. I think she could change and go to the wrong camp. I think, in my personal opinion, you know, Duke Rufus, someone that is just incredible with teaching MMA striking and has a proven track record, you know, wherever that may be for her. I'm not sure, you know, what that exact position may be, but I really honestly believe after the age of 30, she's got a lot of cash. What do you want to do when you have a lot of cash? You want to make more cash.
Yeah.
The place to make more cash is in Stamford, Connecticut, not in Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if Ronda was going to come back, you know, yeah, I think she had to change camps. I mean, I think there's going to be options out there for her. I think working with a guy like Daniel Cormier would be great for her. Mentally and physically, tremendous wrestling coach, working with guys at AKA. I think that would be a help
That's what she needs to work on, is the wrestling.
I think working in New York, I think, you know, my perfect fit for Ronda Rousey, you want to know the honest truth about it, the perfect fit for me for Ronda Rousey, excuse me, would be working in New York, get her completely away from California, you know, all across the country, get her out of her comfort zone. Because in California, that's her home, that's where she lives, it's a very comfortable situation.
I feel like you're stealing her right now.
Put her in New York, let her train with Coach Mark Henry, who I have just tremendous respect for as a boxing coach.
One of the greatest.
Ricardo Almeida, of course, who is a tremendous jiu-jitsu coach. Frankie Edgar's there.
Who are these people you're talking about?
Frankie Edgar's there. Marlon Moraes, Eddie Alvarez. You know, get some people who have gone through it. Because if you watched The Ultimate Fighter a couple weeks ago, Eddie Alvarez was talking to one of his fighters who was going through like a bit of a panic attack before a fight. And he was just so brilliant talking about how like he just got embarrassed on the biggest stage in the world when he lost to Conor. He's like, I got knocked down in front of millions of people. And he's like, that was tough to deal with. Like, that's a really embarrassing situation. And he's like, it took me a little while to figure out that, at the end of the day, my family still loves me. They're still going to be there for me. Like, none of that really matters. Blah, blah, blah. But like, go to people that have experience. Like Frankie Edgar, that guy's seen it all. He's done it all. You know what I mean? That guy's done everything. He's been a champion. He's been a contender. He's coming off losses.
I think a great suggestion would be Combat Club in Lantana, Florida.
That's a possibility, but they don't really have any women down there. That's
right,
the problem.
but I think with that situation down there, you have Luke Rockhold who's integrating into there, who has tremendous ground, who can work, because that's where I think Ronda getting in on the inside was just a matter of being able to close that distance a little better with some wrestling instead of judo. And then once she gets there, then judo's all there all day, every day.
We're all just assuming that this is all assuming that she would ever fight again. I personally
we're just talking about people's careers, what we want, like Edmund style.
Yeah, exactly. I don't necessarily think she ever fights again. I agree with you. I think Stamford, Connecticut, team up with Vinnie Mac. I'm sure Vinnie Mac would like to have Ronda on the roster.
Ronda! Somebody say something about red panties.
Vince McMahon would wear red panties just to prove a point, and I'm not sure what that point would be, but he would do it.
Yeah.
Vince is
Dick tucked back. Back by my ass.
Did you see Vince get knocked out last week on WWE?
Oh, did he get knocked out? I heard some about that.
He got headbutted.
Yeah, by
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I like that dude. Kevin Owens is pretty cool.
Yeah, he got headbutted. He went down. He bled and everything. Like,
is that right?
Yeah.
Dude, Vinnie Mac is the dude.
How old is Vinnie Mac now? Like 80?
Old. No, he's like 70-something, but he's like old, man. Like, seriously.
No.
Still jacked. Doing a cycle probably like a month out before he got in there. Just like... looks 10 times better than every wrestler on the roster.
Yeah, he's more jacked than half.
Holy shit, man, calm down. Weren't you on a steroid scandal trial like in the early 90s?
Vinnie Mac, man, he's all about it.
Your name on a list or something?
70 and still taking bumps.
Holy fucking shit. We'll take it, yeah. Don't spread those rumors.
Yeah.
At a cocaine party. Yeah. Line them up.
Dude, that'd be the greatest person ever to do cocaine with. Tons of cash, access to some of the hottest, most in shape women ever.
Vinnie Mac.
1988, Vinnie Mac.
Could you imagine
2 8-balls, Miami Beach. Give it to me, man.
Party with Vinnie Mac in like 85, 88, like around those heydays of WrestleMania.
No socks, some fucking loafers, white pants, seeing the ankles, and I got a fucking sport coat on, even though I'm in South Florida, probably sweating a little bit.
No chance. That's what you got.
No chance. Hey, so if anybody ever wants to get in touch with us, of course, we're on Twitter and Instagram at Damon Martin, at Jeremy Loper, and you can hashtag Fight Society, and we will find you. So we're doing the uploads onto YouTube now.
Yes.
And we're also being found other ways.
Yeah, YouTube. You can find it on SoundCloud. You can find it on Libsyn, which is the actual people who host our podcast. They're the same people who host Joe Rogan's podcast, Mark Maron. So, they have obviously a huge company. Not to say we're on the same level as podcasts, but, but yeah, so Libsyn has our podcast, YouTube's, iTunes, of course. Yeah, so you can find us pretty much anywhere.
Those guys will catch up soon.
One day. They might. Speaking of catching up, a guy who is going to be catching up with the title fight.
Oh, yeah.
October 7th.
Absolutely.
Kevin Lee is going to take on Tony Ferguson. One of my favorite, my two favorite fights that have been announced. Let me say it this way: 2 favorite fights have been announced so far for the remainder of the year that I love: Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, and Cody Garbrandt against T.J. Dillashaw. Those are my 2 favorite fights for the remainder of the year in terms of just skill. I think it's going to be an amazing fight. Tony Ferguson brings it. The dude is a freaking warrior. 25 minutes. Dude does not slow down.
Top of the division, too.
Kevin Lee has looked so good lately, man. The way he went out there and just took it to Michael Chiesa, and he's really turned it on these last couple of years with his performances. I love this fight. Plus, they both talk, man. They both know how to go at it.
Sure.
Yeah, you'll hear from Kevin. Kevin's got some words for Conor as well in this interview.
Is that right?
He goes all out on Conor, man. Just listen to this interview. You'll see what I'm talking about. But you can find out that Kevin Lee is not the biggest Conor McGregor fan right now.
Kevin Lee, Damon Martin, one-on-one here on Fight Society Podcast.
So how's everything, man? Obviously, fight is creeping up just around the corner, so I wanted to talk to you. I was like, man, it's coming up quick.
Yeah, nah, hey, look, I'm putting in the work now, so I'm just now getting out the gym. I just got done doing some active recovery work. Yesterday was my sparring day. Everything going smooth. It's a smooth training camp, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, this is a huge opportunity. You're fighting Tony Ferguson for the interim title, so obviously I know why you took the fight. But be honest, was there a little bit of disappointment? At least right now, you didn't get that headlining spot in Detroit, because I know you wanted that. I know you wanted it bad.
Oh, no, I mean, a little bit, but, that's just because that was my hometown. Look, it's a lot better going to the fights and getting to enjoy them, sitting back, drinking a beer, like not having to worry about having a fight coming up anyway. Like I said, I mean, we're going to see after this one. I feel like I can still get out there and defend the title versus Khabib. So if McGregor wants to take a little tune-up fight, if he want to fight Diaz or something December 30th, I'll go ahead and dust off Khabib December 2nd in Detroit too. So I still kind of got my eyes on that, maybe. But if not, then I'm showing up with 12 pounds of gold anyway, and I'll just sit it with the crowd and actually get to enjoy my family.
I love it. We talked after your last performance, of course, phenomenal win over Michael Chiesa, and you were looking for a big fight. You were looking for that challenge, and I know you actually called out Khabib. That was the guy you originally called out. But how excited were you when the UFC called and said, "Hey, here's Tony Ferguson, and by the way, it's a shot at the title"?
Yeah, I mean, look, me and Tony were going to fight anyway, regardless. When he walked up on me, so I like a challenge. I get up for challenges. I don't know. I'm not like the rest of these guys. Like somebody was asking, or I was explaining to somebody. When Conor was in the same position, he fought Dennis Seaver. Who was like and everybody knew Dennis Seaver wasn't a challenge. Even Conor knew. So for some reason, I like these challenges. That's why I've been calling out guys like Khabib. I've been calling out guys like Tony. Nobody else in the division wanted to fight Tony Ferguson. That's the bottom line. So I love the challenge, and nobody's been able to kind of solve his. He's so awkward and he moves so weird, and he does a lot of things good actually. So I like that shit. That's really going to raise me to the next level, and it's really going to improve me as a man and as a fighter. So when they called, I'm like, look, me and Tony were going to fight anyway, whether it was going to be in my backyard or it was going to be at T-Mobile Arena for a title. So I was excited for it. I didn't even renegotiate my contract before accepting it.
There's, when you get an interim title shot, anytime you get a title shot is an important thing, but it's kind of a weird time because Conor is the champion, but he's never defended, and he's been out now, going on a year. What are your views on the interim title? Are you looking at this as the interim title, or do you look at this as like, hey, this is the real lightweight championship, and eventually maybe down the road you get to fight Conor? No,
this is definitely the lightweight championship, and I think any real fan understands that. The casuals, the dick suckers, they don't. But any real fan, they understand it. Me and Tony both had double-digit fights in the lightweight division. How can you call one man with one, a man with one fight in the division the champ? I mean, he hasn't gone through the murderer's row of 155. It's killers down there. So a lot of guys are unranked. So I think even Conor look at himself as not the champ. That's why, people were talking about, he made so much money, he ain't going to come back. I guess, more power to him. If he don't, then good luck. I don't know how you sleep with yourself at night, especially getting bullied around by a 40-year-old man who coming out of 2 years off retirement. If that's the way he can sleep at night, even if he got $100 million, I hope that shit keep you warm.
There's been a lot of opinion. I'm sure you either heard or someone told you, Tony Ferguson was obviously upset at the idea that Conor would come back and fight Nate and not the winner of this fight, because it would seem like, logic would say, title unification bout. But it doesn't sound like you're all that upset about it. It sounds like you're fine rolling forward and not even worrying about Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. He can go ahead and, more power to him. Look, if he can go out there and he can, people for some reason think Nate Diaz is an elite fighter just because he beat Conor. Nate Diaz has double-digit losses. He's got 12, 13 losses, however many. He's a journeyman. So if he come back, he takes a tune-up fight against a journeyman. I guess, I ain't going to give you no props for it. But, look, if that's what he feel like he needs to do before he can step up and really take on a real challenge and really take on a young champion, then, then hey, look, it's just all that's going to do is just give me more time just to catch up to it. Like I'm just getting better as time goes on. So if you want to delay it for as long as he wants to, he should have called me a couple years ago when I was still young and dumb. So if you want to make that same mistake, like, hey, do your thing. Like what he making in his pocket ain't really going to take nothing out of mine. I'm still going to make the same amount of money. I'm going to go out. I'm going to defend versus Khabib. I am taking on the toughest challenges, but I'm doing his dirty work for him.
Yeah. Do you feel like these are tougher challenges, though? I mean, Tony Ferguson, what is he on, 9-10 win streak? Khabib, undefeated. I mean, if you go through that streak, sure. Do you feel like that's tougher challenges than fighting Conor anyways? Oh,
for sure. I mean, I'm fighting, like I said, he's fighting somebody with 10, 11 losses. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm calling out the guys that are undefeated, the guys that, Tony Ferguson, he's got one loss in the UFC, but even then, that was so long ago. His style was so different. He's on such a massive win streak. And you ask anybody, he's the toughest fight in this division, hands down. So I think he's been the number one contender for a long time. So I'm happy to, look, I'm doing him a favor. I'm taking out the dirty work for him. You ask Conor McGregor, both Tony and Khabib will be favored over Conor in a hypothetical fight. So I'm willing to take them out before jumping down there to the small fish. If anything, Conor got to work his way. He got to convince me that he's worthy of a fight with me. So when he do that, then we might talk.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Kevin. We talked, before a couple of your fights recently, and you've been very honest about, the promotion you're building around yourself, not only from what you're doing in the cage, but also outside the cage. You're not afraid to speak your mind and say what's on your mind. You're a young guy. Do you feel like in your mind this is kind of a changing of the guard a little bit, like you are the future of this division?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for a while. So look, that's why people are. Even people that they're kind of, they're like, oh, how are you going to be when you get the title? Like, I'm not going to be no different. Like, I already feel like a champ. I felt like a champ for a long time. Like, this ain't no surprise to me. It ain't nothing new to me. I feel like regardless, I'm gonna be a world champion. So, that's kind of the mindset that I have. I'm definitely this is the new division. The new generation. This is 90 babies era. So I'm happy to pull that guard for the 155 pounders too.
Yeah. Let me ask you about Tony Ferguson, because what he's done lately, his resume. I mean, listen, there's no doubting what the guy's done. He's had some big wins, had some impressive wins. But I'll ask you, Kevin, have you been impressed by Tony Ferguson?
Yeah, no, I mean, Tony's tough as fuck. I will give him that. I'm expecting a dog fight, like even as I'm watching him, I even as I'm watching film, he does a lot of things wrong, but makes them right. And Tony he ain't no bitch, I even think this me as much because look, you can say what you want to say, however many years that Mayweather. I knew Mayweather was going to beat Conor, but Conor quit. He quit during that fight. That's the pity about fighting. You really can't hide who you really are. And if you a bitch, it's going to show. And this is not the first time. It showed in the first Nate Diaz fight. It showed again in the second Nate Diaz fight. And it showed versus Mayweather. When you flopping around and kind of signaling to the ref that you tired, that's him wanting to quit. That's him wanting to out. You'll never see Tony Ferguson like that. Tony Ferguson went to war with Dos Anjos for 5 rounds in Mexico City at altitude. And he's, of course he's tired, but he's not going to show it like that. When you show it like that, that's he's being a bitch. Like, you want out. So I'm going to give it to Tony. Tony don't never bitch out. Tony likes a good fight. And it gets me up even more to break somebody who has such a strong mentality. I said the same thing versus Mike Chiesa. You look at Mike Chiesa and you say, he don't got a whole lot of athletic. When you look at him, you look at his skills. You say, all right, he's all right. But one thing you can't deny is the man got a fucking mind. He's got a heart. And I like taking out guys like that because it just makes me stronger.
Yeah. I remember when you told me, I talked to you after the whole Michael Chiesa thing happened at that press conference. You said that, it was never your goal to get in the guy's head. You didn't really care. You like breaking guys physically as much as it is anything about mental. But I am curious, as you faced off with Tony, a few weeks ago, and as you had that interview on Fox, which was still hilarious, by the way, when you've had those moments, do you feel like you have gotten in his head a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I can see it in his eyes. I saw it in his eyes right when when we did the first face-off. I feel like I'm going to see it again in this next one. He's kind of a weird dude anyway, like Tony's a weirdo. So it's actually not that hard to kind of play into him. I kind of dialed it back a little bit on him just because I feel like, I don't know, he's just a weird dude. Like, he's playing through his own head enough. So, I can help him along. I can get that extra little push over the edge. But really, he's a weird dude. I don't really like interacting with him too much, to be honest with you. I feel like some of that weirdness might rub off on me.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. When you look at the stylistic matchup, I mean, obviously, you and Tony both come from similar backgrounds in terms of wrestling. Obviously, you both have grown a lot in your MMA game since that time, but you've been so dominant lately. You haven't been a guy, I think you were ready for a dogfight against Michael Chiesa. You ended up tapping him out early. But I am curious, you're ready for 5 rounds against Tony Ferguson, but do you feel like if you go out there and fight your fight, you can be just as dominant against him as you have been in your last, 5 or 6 wins in a row?
Oh, definitely. When I go out there and put my will on him, I don't think that. I think the skills, especially early on, will really shine through. You look at Tony, and he does make a lot of mistakes technically. I'm just a much more technical, much quicker, much stronger too, and I'm going to be bigger once he gets in there. So, can Tony last? I don't know. That's what I'm kind of curious of. Answer Tony because even with the Mike Chiesa fight, it ended so early. People didn't really get to see everything that I trained for. So I'm kind of excited to see if Tony Ferguson can last, if he can handle the power, if he can handle the wrestling, and if he won't bitch out. And hopefully it do go. I hope it do go 5 rounds. You look at some of these bone burners. Everybody talk about they want to finish here and this, finish there. Well, honestly, like a lot of the fans, the best fights have always been long, drawn out decisions. Really, where 2 guys are going to war. So I'm actually kind of hoping for that.
Yeah. When you look at Tony's win streak, obviously you can't take anything away from the guy. He's had so many impressive wins, but he's had a couple of, moments in there where you kind of look like he got in some bad positions against Lando Venata, which was a bit of a surprise. You look at the Danny Castillo fight, very, very close. But what I think Tony does really well is he's great in the scrambles. He's able to capitalize on someone's, littlest mistake, and that's where he's able to overcome that. You're not a guy who makes a lot of mistakes, technically, or even, kind of in the scrambles. Do you feel like that's a big advantage for you, that you don't make a lot of mistakes in your fight, and that kind of cuts off one of his biggest weapons?
Oh yeah, definitely. It also helps that I fight very frequently. I just got done with this since I never got out of shape. So he brings some things to the table. Look, I'm a steamroller, guy. And I'm just gonna show a different level. And if he can keep up, if he can keep chugging along, if he can keep taking shots, then even better for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think what's the best thing about this fight is the excitement in the MMA world. Like, there's 2 fights that I'm most excited about coming up the rest of the year. It's your fight with Tony, and I'm really looking forward to Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw. I think technically those are the 2 best fights we have in mixed martial arts right now, and I think that's a testament to the work you put in, the testament Tony puts in, Cody and TJ. I think those are the 2 best fights we have in the sport right now.
Yeah, and I think the UFC even knows that, and that's why they're putting us as main villain because they know this is the fight that even the casual fans that don't even know about me or haven't got to see me fight or haven't got to see me train or when I do, when they actually see the fight, then they'll really understand, they'll really respect, and it'll really take this to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one other thing that comes along with the title and this kind of main event atmosphere, Kevin, is that next level of superstardom. Now, you have embraced it and you enjoyed it. I joked with you, but I was being serious also at that press conference when you kind of went after Chiesa. I said that was kind of like your coming out moment when people got to see you under the bright lights and you really shined in that moment. Are you excited, beyond the title and beyond the competition part of it, are you excited to kind of, finally get that spotlight just on you? Because winning that championship is going to put you where you want to be.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's been something that I've been looking forward to. But is it like a huge focus of mine? Not really. I feel like it's going to come in time regardless. So I've kind of been like putting it off a little bit, kind of enjoying my life and enjoying my youth while I still have it. So, all that is all cool and all, but I was this way before, you know what I mean? So it really, folks want to say I changed, but they the ones that changed because they the ones that now watch me. You know what I mean? They weren't watching me before, so if they were watching me before, they would see it. It's been no different. So it ain't gonna change once I get the belt around me. It really ain't. It's gonna be the same shit. The belt just looks a little shinier, and it's just a little mantelpiece in my house.
So what you're saying is, when you win the belt, you're not going to be walking around with 20 new people in your entourage.
Hey, shit, don't change. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, look. I might have a couple more diamonds on my wrist, but that's about it.
Well, you and I both know that the title changes some people. I think having that attitude is a good thing for you because man, some people get that title and let it go to their head. You know that.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand. Like, I'm also I'm a student of this game. Like, I've been studying it for years, and those are the ones that you see with that are legends. The guys that don't change, the guys that don't let their 9 to 5 is still the same after they win the title, after they win the money, after they do everything, because there's so much more to still get accomplished. So I'm not gonna let it go. I mean, it's still gonna be the same as what it was before, and it's gonna be a.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Kevin, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, man. Obviously, safe training the rest of the way. Safe travels. Well, I would say safe travels. You're in Vegas, so safe driving to the arena. And thank you as always for the time, man. I appreciate it.
All right, my man. Appreciate it.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
All right, man. That's gonna do it for the show. Awesome interview. Heat being thrown. Hey guys, I do a vlog channel on YouTube. You guys should check it out. Loper and Randy. That's Randy with an I. And you can also go to the.com, loperandrandi.com, and check out our daily radio show.
Very racy YouTube channel.
Is that right?
Lots of nudity.
Foot fetishes, all kinds of fun
nudity.
Stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, they're always hanging out at sex palaces. It's kind of a crazy
sex
YouTube
palace.
channel.
Oh, I'm here at the sex palace getting very sexed. Somebody say sex palace? Yeah. Got some coke. Sniff it. What about? Okay, I was going to say. Try to get some more sponsors, so I probably won't say all that stuff.
I tried to get Sex Palace to sign on with us, but I haven't heard back yet.
Brought to you by the Sex Palace. All right, guys. Next week it is. Damon Martin has a killer website called Nerdcore Movement. If you are into movies, comics, just everything, gaming, everything nerd culture, check it out, NerdcoreMovement.com. So next week, man, we'll have some more fun, more parties, more guests.
We got this weekend is the UFC fight card in Japan, and not necessarily the greatest card in the world, but I'm sure we'll talk about that next week. And then we're going to start getting ready for UFC 216. We got Tony Ferguson against Kevin Lee. Got Demetrius Johnson and Ray Borg. Paige Van Zandt making her flyweight debut against Jessica I, Ohio's own Jessica I.
Yes, I can't wait for that, man. That's going to be awesome.
So good stuff coming up in the next 2 weeks as we get ready for that.
At Damon Martin, at Jeremy Loper, thank you so much for your support. Listening is everything to us. And hashtag Fight Society. Later, guys.